Lucas Spielberg.
And this is Ashton Spears.
And we definitely watch WGS-TV. We're going to own it. Definitely going to own it.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, really. Respect my veteran.
Welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I'm the WrestleGamer, Don't Be Molly Boudreaux, and I got the panel here with me for this week's Friday Night Smackdown review for the week of January 31st, 2014. But first off, let me introduce the panel. First up, the studly man Ashley is here for this review. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm tempted to walk to Chicago. I don't know why.
There'd
be a swear in there, wouldn't it?
Apparently he's got some bad news for us. James from the Wyatts Temple. James, how you doing?
I got some bad news. I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna not be out because it's actually that's the Lunar New Year's for the Vietnamese folks. Since I'm Vietnamese, I'm the Lunar New Year's to everybody.
Well, say it in Vietnamese for anybody out there who's might be Vietnamese watching this review.
As he finds Google Translator.
James, you want to speak up bad news? The signal went.
My thing is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I have technical difficulty, sorry.
That's why you got bad news.
Chúc mừng năm mới is the Vietnamese. Yeah. Chúc mừng năm mới for everybody who is Vietnamese. That's what.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he's a resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
And he was just recently announced as the new investor in TNA, the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, what's up?
Does this mean I get to put Dixie Carter in check so Andy doesn't have to suffer anymore?
Think about it, though. He's going to be at the Super Bowl as well come Sunday.
As I remind James, if he gets me a strike with the WWE, I am going to kill him because of that image. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at for the opening segment for Friday Night Smackdown. Something the fans have been wanting to see ever since the Wyatt family has debuted in the WWE is a confrontation between the Wyatt family and the Shield. Now, I kind of mentioned on the Raw review what happened, with the Wyatt family getting the Shield disqualified. In my opinion, was indeed probably the catalyst that WWE needed to start this angle between these two teams. And they further developed it on Friday Night Smackdown. At first they started to, break down for the Shield as Roman Reigns and Ambrose were kind of bickering until Seth Rollins played Peacemaker, reminding the two that the Wyatt family are to blame, and they issued a challenge. Now, Triple H tried to talk them out of it, telling them to let it go. And Roman Reigns and the others said, they're dead set on doing this. So he made it official at Elimination Chamber, the Wyatt family taking on the Shield. Ashley, my question to you is, can the matchup at Elimination Chamber between these two teams live up to the hype of the internet wrestling fans?
It should do. The way I think it would have been made better, though, is have it in the chamber. Let's have it like tornado tag style. No eliminations can happen properly until all 6 men are in the ring, out of the pods. And let's mix it up that way. I mean, you've had it in the SmackDown versus Raw and WWE, and WWE 2K games since like 2004, 2005, so why not have it actually do it, make it real? Because I think that sort of match, you know, when it'll, some people say, oh, it's too much like Lethal Lockdown, but I'd like to see something like that. I want to see the Elimination Chamber used for a purpose other than titles and number one contendership.
Opening matchup on Friday Night Smackdown this week was an Elimination Chamber qualifying match between Antonio Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler, where we saw Cesaro connecting with the Neutralizer on the show-off to gain the victory. Will, my question to you is, you know, original storyline plans were to have Cesaro go over on CM Punk. Now, do you think that with the matchup would have went the exact same way if CM Punk was in there instead of Dolph Ziggler?
Ooh, you know what? That's a tough one to actually answer. I mean, it's really bad enough that WWE is already sweeping the dust after their little issue today, but or last couple weeks. But for this, you know, I think Punk would have gotten over more than Cesaro. I mean, you know, he's the best in the world. He's more vocal. You know, but lately, let's be honest, Antonio Cesaro has been popular, even though he is in a heel faction. But I mean, one or either would have benefited, and the crowd would have went crazy because, you know, Cesaro using his European style and Punk just being who he is. And Ziggler wasn't going to make it anyway, so we can just brush that off, have some tea, and go on. So, but as far as the Cesaro-Ziggler match, yeah, I did not think Ziggler was going to really do anything. So, wish-wash. Cesaro won match 3, and he qualified for the Chamber. So, look for Cesaro to do some damage in the Chamber.
Fandango took...
Well, you did know what Ziggler was going to do. He was going to lose.
Yeah. Pretty much. Fandango taking on Xavier Woods up next with R-Truth on commentary. A couple of things to note about this match. One, it was Fandango using a version of the Michinoku driver to get the victory on Woods. But out in the crowd, we had another Emma sighting. You know, the Evolution reigned supreme until Summer Rae grabbed the sign from Emma and destroyed it, but unfortunately for Emma, she had a backup sign, so she had that as well. So one's kind of figured maybe WWE, maybe on the sidelines trying to build up an angle between Summer Rae and Emma. I've been meaning to follow NXT, the new version of NXT, for the longest time. I don't know
Triple Diva Season 2?
Possibly. It's still not enough to make me watch the show, but, you know, it's possible, you know, because Summer Rae was announced to be the... Yes? All right, I thought somebody...
The thing about the Emma Summer Rae thing, they had it, but I think this is going to lead towards the whole thing where Emma or as Fandango's dancer because Summer Rae's on Total Divas now.
And you notice with every Emma sighting we've had, ladies and gentlemen, Emma's always dancing. She's trying to do the Fandango thing, Fandangoing, while she's holding up the sign. Makes it kind of look like she's pointing at somebody, like you and you and you and you. But anyway, Fandango tried to continue the attack on Xavier Woods after the match. R-Truth was able to intervene on that one. But up next is something I still don't understand, Lance, is, RybAxel taking on the primetime players. We basically saw Darren Young in the match completely. He took the Axel cutter, of sorts from Curtis Axel, and I don't know if he took it wrong or not because he came up with a mouthful of blood. But that's not really the issue. The issue is apparently Titus O'Neil just having enough of being known as what he said as a loser. He's a winner and attacked, basically, turning heel and breaking up the primetime players. Now, what I fail to understand about this situation, Lance, is with WWE having such a limited roster in the tag team division, why in the world would they think that, it would be a good idea to break up one of your set tag teams like the primetime players?
Well, granted, I don't watch SmackDown that much, but if they haven't been using them, at least from what I've seen, they haven't been using the primetime players all that much. I think they figure better use two singles competitors than one tag team than they have been using.
Ashley, I want to ask you the same question. Why would WWE think this would be a good idea to break up the primetime players?
I think they've had their opportunity at going for the tag belts, and I don't think it's entirely worked. Obviously, the more marketable person out of the two is Darren, due to, all the stuff that happened with TMZ and the way in which he came out. So, obviously you couldn't really make him go heel, because it probably wouldn't fit the gimmick as much. So, I think you've got enough tag teams there that can certainly be credible in the future. Shield obviously will be a tag team no matter who leaves and splits. The other two could easily be a good tag team. Wyatt family, I think, are overdue. The Real Americans are overdue, apart from Jack Swagger, who I still have a little bit of contempt for. Hell, why can't the Real American tag team be Zeb Coulter and Cesaro? I'd believe in it then. I'd legit put my hand on my head and go, we the people. And wave my DEA badge at Jack Swagger. I'm trying to think. The Usos, I think, are deserving of a push. Obviously, it only gets to a point when, so clearly from this whole New Age Outlaws thing, which also, that's been a sort of a breath of fresh air, even though it's from 15 years ago. The tag team division is still good there. You've got some good tag teams in the undercard as well, like the Ascension, or Ascension 2.0 after the stupid guy from Britain with the drugs, but I think tag division is still good, so don't rip on it just yet. Just because the Wolves went to TNA.
Well, up next, Captain Charisma has returned to the WWE. Christian is back, taking on Weed McMuffin, Jack Swagger, and for the final spot inside the Elimination Chamber. And with the return of Christian back in the WWE, it was kind of obvious that they were going to put Christian over on Swagger, and using the top rope frog splash. So now we have the final slot is filled for the Elimination Chamber. It is Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Antonio Cesaro, and now Christian. So that is your set Elimination Chamber match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, guys. Up next, after that, Damian Sandow and Kofi Kingston. Not really much to talk about there. Kofi hitting the SOS on Damian Sandow. Damian Sandow's really, just fallen into a losing streak as of late in the WWE. Ever since he cashed in Money in the Bank, where fans, are still proclaiming that Cena buried him in that matchup, and I still refuse to believe in that statement. Up next, we also had Road Dogg taking on Cody Rhodes, and in a very good singles match. I was really impressed with what they did here, and I think, Will, they did quite a bit to build to their steel cage match they're going to have on Monday Night Raw when the tag team titles are on the line.
Oh, yeah, I think this was a show to come with Cody going one-on-one with Road Dogg. I thought this match was very enjoyable before the main event. Just too bad that the crowd really wasn't into it. And what's shocking about it is, even though the Outlaws are heel, they still get a face reaction. It's like, not a surprise, but you'd figure that as good of a tag team the Outlaws have been, I mean, words are there. Overall, I'll give it 3. Just too bad Billy Gunn interfered and Goldust had to get in, but Cody Rhodes did win. I forgot how he won that match because I
disaster kick.
Turned my back. Oh, it's that okay? That was Crossroads. But I mean, going into their rematch in a steel cage for Raw, I think this is where. I don't think they're going to regain the belts. They are going to give them a good fight, but I just don't think they're going to regain the belts from the Outlaws. But I will give the match a 3. It was very exciting. Just too bad the crowd wasn't really paying attention, or they just thought the match was. But I liked it nonetheless.
Something to talk about now, guys and gals. The Shield's in the ring waiting for Bryan, Mysterio, and Sheamus when apparently the Wyatt family had their response ready for the Shield. Something on the lines of, they even started letting Luke Harper talk in the Wyatt family segment, saying that you boys have picked a fine hill to die on, and Bray Wyatt saying that be careful about inviting the devil into your backyard because he just might like it. And that's how they pretty much ended that. And, at that point in time, I was figuring, if anything, we were going to see interference by the Wyatt family, going after the Shield, but we did not see that. We saw a very good 6-man tag with Bryan, Mysterio, and Sheamus taking on the Shield. And, of course, the highlight, Roman Reigns hitting the spear on Rey Mysterio, getting the victory. So, in essence, to me, it was a solid SmackDown as we now go to overall scores and picks for best and worst match or segment. But you know what? There was really a decline of segments on this week's Friday Night Smackdown, which kind of surprised me, other than the opening segment. So I'm going to just cross out the word segment and say best and worst match of Friday Night Smackdown this week. And for my pick for best match of the night, I got to go to the 6-man tag with Bryan, Mysterio, and Sheamus in the Shield. It really capped off the whole show. I thought it was really well done. I got to give honorable mention, believe it or not, to Road Dogg and Cody Rhodes. They worked a really well match, even though the fans weren't quite into it. Me being an enthusiast and a fan for so many years like myself, I truly enjoyed this match, despite the crowd reaction. Same thing could be said for the Royal Rumble. I still enjoyed it despite all the butthurt Bryan fans out there who were complaining, he wasn't in the Rumble. Friday Night SmackDown, to me, with the worst match of the night, was there any point to seeing Fandango and Xavier Woods, other than the fact we got to see Summer Rae and Emma, and possibly WWE trying to start a storyline now on their main shows involving Emma and Summer Rae? That match, if you blinked, you would have missed it. That's all. That's they could have put more content into the match. They could have put a little bit more time into this match. But the fact is, I've seen Divas matches in the WWE go longer than what they did with Fandango and Xavier Woods. And to me, you really can't sell a match when you do it in less than 3 minutes. That's just my thoughts on it. Overall score on Friday Night SmackDown, believe it or not, it's going to get a 4 out of 5. It was indeed a solid, good show. You got a good opening, with that segment involving the Shield, all the way down to the final match with Bryan, Mysterio, and Sheamus taking on the Shield. And indeed, a good, solid show, in my opinion. But then again, that's just my opinion. Let's go over to Ashley, get his opinion, his picks for best and worst match on Friday Night SmackDown and his overall score. Ash?
Overall, I'll give it probably like a 3.75. It's not a 3.5 and it's not a 4. It's somewhere in between. For best, I think I'll agree with you there, and I'll go with the 6-man tag match. Worst moment, the inevitable realization in your head that either Cesaro or Christian isn't going to be in the chamber match. because Brock Lesnar will be in there instead. Otherwise, basically, what's the purpose? Brock Lesnar is the number one contender, self-proclaimed, and he ain't gonna get a match until after WrestleMania. Oops.
Alright, anyway, let's go over to Will next and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match of Friday Night Smackdown.
Alright, here we go. Best match, I'm jumping on the bandwagon with you guys. The 6-man main event by far was the best one. Worst, I'm sorry, but this is where I have to take a quote from Rec. Anything with Fandango is just not worth watching right now. Although he does have a couple of new moves in his moveset, I'll give him that, but despite the top rope Michinoku driver that he won it with against Xavier Woods, but I'm sorry, he only had one big pop and now he's just going downward again. There's just nothing positive I can say about him right now. He needs to really step it up. And yes, I can't really put any segments out there. There wasn't really none that I could say that was really on SmackDown going forward, other than, Renee Young did talk to Chris and talk about, well, I'm back, and he talks about he's desperate, he'll do it by any means, and, he'll do what it takes to win at the Chamber. That's not really a segment. That's just called a person that just wants to do whatever it takes to win at the Chamber. So I can't even really call it a segment, but, whatever. But overall, I'll give it a 3.5. I thought SmackDown lived up to it, except for Fandango. That's it.
And finally, let's go over to Lance and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match of Friday Night Smackdown.
Well, I only came in about 45 minutes late, but worst got to be the Fandango match. Best segment or non-wrestling thing, not in the ring, had to be them announcing that the cage match for this Monday. Best match, I gotta go give it to Road Dogg and Cody Rhodes, and I'll probably give it a 3.75.
All right, fans. On that note, what we want to know now from you guys out there, the viewers. Well, you said you didn't watch.
I didn't watch. What are you talking about?
All right, then. Well, Mr. Lunar New Year, what's your overall score and your picks for best and worst match of Friday Night Smackdown?
Best match has to be, and the worst one has to be Fandango. And I'm going to have to correct you on some. Remember, dance she does is her gimmick she does in NXT.
All right, and if Bad News Bear comes after me for that photo, I'm going to kill you, James. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to know now from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Friday Night Smackdown this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match of Friday Night Smackdown? Definitely want to hear from you guys out there. Be sure you put your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Redneck Gourmet cooking videos, album reviews, NASCAR reviews, a little bit of wrestling stuff, and whatever else pops into my head.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of them mass produces giant-sized duck enemas. One has a fetish for them. It's the Bay Area MVP known as Will and James and the Big Easy. Guys, what you got coming up?
Super Bowl Sunday, Omaha. And same thing we now do on uVlog, video games, game shows, sports talk, debates, and whatever else pops through to our fan base. I don't know about James and that decorum picture up there.
Oh, yes. The great Bob Barker.
Yeah, Barker. No Jimmy Graham. No Jimmy Graham. Just no Jimmy Graham.
Is James...
Oh.
as James continues to get me more and more and more hot water here on YouTube, fans, don't forget to like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe if this channel is still standing after this video, thanks to James, to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the Studley Man Ashley, the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, the Bay Area MVP, known as well as, and the person formerly known as James from the Big Easy, I'm the Wrestle Gamer, Double B Billy Bujo, saying thank you very much for watching.
Just to make sure that TNA doesn't feel left out, WWE SmackDown will be pre-recorded over the next 2 days for the next 47 weeks.